Whoa. Look at those price wicks, each one tells a tale of fierce rejection. The buyers are pushing hard at $131.845, but those long upper wicks scream of sellers stepping in, slamming the door on any lofty dreams. If I were trading this, I'd be eyeing the next move closely. Are you ready to navigate the market's twists? Right now, at $131.841, we've got critical levels to watch across the 1-minute, 5-minute, and 15-minute charts. On the 5-minute time frame, resistance sits at $132.24, just above the recent range high. Breaking this could trigger buying pressure, drawing in momentum traders. Conversely, support is crucial at $130.35. A dip below this level might unleash panic selling, leading towards the 24-hour low at $125.03. The psychology is palpable, traders are grappling with uncertainty. Those who missed the 24-hour high of $133 may feel anxious, fueling volatility. If we bounce off support, expect buyers to step in, but a breach signals a shift in sentiment, pushing prices lower. Keep your eyes peeled on these levels, $132.
Scanning for opportunities, analysis in progress.
Whoa. What a volatile dance we're witnessing at $131.683. The recent wick of the last candle is like a warning flare shot into the sky, revealing fierce rejection at higher levels. Traders tried to push this price up, but sellers were lurking, ready to pounce. This is the arena of fierce confrontation, every spike is met with a counterpunch. As we look closely, the spread holds tight at 0.0008%, hinting at a compression of energy that could erupt either way. Traders are holding their breath. The volume tells a chilling story: activity has surged, but it hasn't translated into sustained buying, it's more like a frantic pulse, signaling uncertainty. Between you and me, it's fascinating how Sol is sitting at $131.761. Many think it'll just keep climbing, but hold on. If it breaches $135 strongly, then we can expect a surge towards $140, maybe even $145, opening up a bullish trend. However, if it falls below $128, watch out. That could trigger a cascade towards $120, which would definitely rattle traders' confidence. Now, consider this, a 60% chance we see upward momentum, driven by some solid adoption news. A 30% chance exists for sideways action, where traders hesitate. The wild card? The joy of scalping in crypto, like trying to catch a greased pig. Current price at $131.821 means the immediate resistance is lurking at $132.24 and the psychological level at $133. A few cents above that, traders are waiting with bated breath. Meanwhile, immediate support is down at $130.37, with another layer at $130, a classic round number where emotions run high. For a long scalp, consider entering around $131.50, taking profits at $132, and placing your stop loss tight at $130.25. Watch how price dances around these levels. It's like a bad rom-com, full of drama but predictable. Stay alert, the next 30 minutes could be your golden ticket or a wild goose chase. Is it just me, or does every chart look like it's trying to outsmart the other? 1 minute shows a wobbly, chaotic dance, definitely noise. It's like the market can't decide if it's going left or right. The 5-minute paints a clearer picture with a slight bearish trend, but not enough conviction. Key levels are hanging around, but they're more like suggestions than laws. Now, the 15-minute. It's caught in a range, RSI sitting at 50, and MACD gives off bearish vibes. Not exactly the confidence boost we need. Confluence check reveals a party of confusion. The 1 minute is chaotic, 5 minute suggests bearish, and the 15-minute is just lounging in a range. They're not exactly best friends right now. Scalping implications. If you're feeling brave, maybe a short on the 5-minute could be your play, but don't get too cozy. This
Tú eres muy amable. Es un muy bueno día para the market. Hacer muchos dinero. Es muy más fácil. Ayer tomorrow Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP.
Whoa. What a late night scramble it's been, huh? So, we're sitting with Sol, long 1.0 contracts at $127.70. Right now, that's a cozy $131.58, giving us a neat PNL of $19.40. Not too shabby. This price surge reflects a solid 5% gain over the past 24 hours, so the market's buzzing. But hold your horses. The RSI on the 5-minute chart is teetering at 50 neutral territory, folks. And the MACD's whispering bearish vibes. It's a classic moment of psychological tug of war. Do we hold onto this winning position or cash out before the tide changes? Remember, the short-term noise can be misleading. With this momentum, let's keep our eyes on the broader trend in that 15-minute and 1-hour context. Isn't it fascinating how the markets can flip like a switch? Today, we're witnessing Sol making its move, currently priced at $131.27. With a tight spread of just 0.0008%, this asset is showing some stability amidst the chaos. Volume has been a bit concerning, sitting at zero over the past 24 hours. That's a red flag we need to keep an eye on. Low volume can mean low conviction in price movement. Now, for those who might have missed it earlier, I'm currently holding a long position on Sol, entered at $127.70, and it's now up, generating an impressive $18.30 in profit. That's a solid play. We should watch for crucial resistance levels ahead, as market sentiment shifts could drive volatility. Pay attention to volume. If it picks up, it might be a sign of potential breakout or bust. Stay sharp, and let's navigate this ever-changing landscape together.
They know gusta vemos la moto. They gusta the personas, preoccupado persona Robert la moto. That's no es mi problem. No es mi problem. Muchas cosas no es mi problem. Gracias. Greg gusta it now.
Between you and me, the current state of Sol at $131.208 is electrifying, but there's tension in the air. On the 1-minute chart, the microtrend is choppy, it's a battlefield of noise overshadowing any clear signals. The 5-minute chart, however, shows a slight bearish trend but holds critical support around $130.50. Watch this level closely. The 15-minute chart gives us a broader perspective, indicating we are mostly ranging with no strong directional bias, making it crucial to tread lightly. Now, let's talk confluence. The 1-minute and 5-minute charts show bearish tendencies, but the 15-minute isn't confirming that direction. This conflict screams caution. I would scale down my position size. In this moment, the psychological edge lies in patience. If we break below $130.50 on the 5-minute, that could open a scalp opportunity. But if we bounce back, we could see.
De escucha that Venezuela is buscar per Americanas, and if you're American in Venezuela, it's muy mal, because they planning to use all the Americanas per extorsión. Estados Unidos no gusta Americanas in prison. Russia muy similar. They hope that that they can say, oh, if tú estás guerrera, it's gonna be muy malo para the Americanos aquí. That's muy bueno that Petro has been no hablar muchos Trump, and that the Estados Unidos, no ethic. There's no ethic. There's just no it's no sobre drugos. It is drugos Colombia. It's para siete oil, petroleum,
Alright,
gasoline.
pay attention to
It's like
this.
Iraq.
The market's eerily calm,
Over in
with
Iraq,
BTC
there's no
holding steady and ETH tracking the market.
terrorists
Our asset,
or
SOL, is sitting at
911 Saddam
$131.158,
Hussein.
and
No,
volume
this is how
trends
they
are
send the
normal.
dinero.
But
The
don't be fooled by
corsos.
this
The Estados
stability.
Unidos, no ethicals,
197 days
They'll
of
use
data
our
suggest a volatility spark is
resistors
overdue.
and
I'm calling a
that's the
contrarian play.
problema
The
con
recent
más poder
$130
que
support level will be
más
retested,
poder,
and if
y
SOL dips below
siempre
$129.50, it'll be a buying opportunity. The seed of doubt is
And
planted, and I'm betting on a 5% bounce to $137.50. Don't get caught sleeping. The crypto market can turn on a dime, and this lull may be the calm before the storm. This chart is telling me that we're at a pivotal moment for SOL. Immediate resistance is looming at $132.24, a recent swing high that has struggled to break. Just above that, watch $133 as a psychological barrier. For support, keep an eye on $130.37, that's where buyers stepped in recently. Below that, $130 is crucial, a round number that could trigger another bounce. Now, for the scalp zone, if you're looking to enter a long scalp, consider buying around $130.50. Aim for a quick profit target at $131.50, where prior selling pressure may emerge. Set your stop at $130.25, just below that recent low to minimize risk. Be prepared for volatility, price could swing. If it breaks through $132.24, the next target could be $133. Alternatively,
in the Congo, this is muy modern era, bars, music, comida, like todos. And it's barato, muy barato. And it's fácil personas the low like caro in the Estados Unidos is realmente caro. No just solo the casas, caro, and the comida, poco caro. The realmente is the servicios profesional. Like necesita ayuda con tu limpiar tu apartamento. Oh, that's $50 US, 25 para persona de tu just pagar aquí, 50,000. It's just muchos más barato aquí servicios profesional, like reparar tu carro, reparar cosas médico, like the vacunas. In the Estados Unidos, it'd be $80 US para the servicios. Aquí it's like $8 US. It's literally 10 tiempos más. And so it's realmente those services like avocados. In the Estados Unidos, it's $300 US an hora. Aquí it's like, 50,000 an hora para just an average avocado. And that's local. It's literalmente like avocados aquí muy caro. Y Europa.
También muy caro toda la comida chilena.
Yeah, that's the más mejor. San Javier necesita cambiar the llaves porque, the otra personas no conozco. And the hombre is like 20 minutos. And I was like, Conquesta. And I escuché el nombre. I was like, Conquesta? And I'd ask like Trace Tiempos. It was like 18,000 US. No, 18,000 pesos con the nueve partes. En Estados Unidos hay like literalmente 80 US dólares para posible 200 US dollars. There's the services professionals, man. It's that hombre blanco, and they just no trabajo
Look,
para
Bitcoin
barato.
just smashed through the $90,900
Electricidad en
mark,
your casa,
and everyone's losing their minds as if
multi-story.
it's the second coming of crypto. US
Multi-story.
buying is back, and people think the tax drama is over.
It's like the community
Spoiler
is no
alert,
muy,
it's
muy,
probably
muy,
just
muy
a sugar
caro,
rush before the next crash.
barato aquí
Meanwhile,
pero en
altcoins are
Estados
still
Unidos
stuck
es
in the
más
mud,
caro, but no
marking
like
their fourth year of taking the
cuatro
backseat to
tiempos
Bitcoin.
más.
Ever heard of a
Professional
sinking ship? Yeah, that's
servicio
the altcoin market
profesional,
right
it's
now.
literalmente like
And then we have
cinco
Ethereum,
tiempo
which took
más
a dive
caro
after
en
heavy
Estados
sell-offs, now clinging to a fragile $2,921. It's like watching a soap opera full of drama, but do we really care? Traders, keep your eyes peeled. The more you watch Bitcoin surge, the more you should question if it's sustainable or just a flashy mirage. Remember, volatility is your best friend and worst enemy. Stay sharp. This chart is telling me Sol at $130.973 is at a critical juncture. If it can break above $135, then bullish momentum could surge, possibly leading us to test the $145 resistance level. Traders are licking their chops, anticipating a rally fueled by positive sentiment. Conversely, if we dip below $125, watch out. That could signal weakness, pushing us toward $120, where panic selling might kick in. The market is jittery, and heavy volume around these levels could amplify moves. Now, the next hour could be pivotal as traders digest any news or key indicators. Over the next day, strong buying or selling could establish a more decisive trend. Sol is buzzing right now at $131.095, and traders are eyeing those critical levels. For immediate resistance, keep an eye on $132.24, the recent high on the 1M chart. A break above that could trigger a rush, especially around $133. On the flip side, immediate support lies at $130.70. That's the recent low, and if it holds, it could set the stage for a bounce. Now, about the scalp zone, I'd look to enter a long scalp around $130.80, right above support. If it bounces, targeting a quick profit at $131.50 makes sense, especially if volume picks up. Keep your stop tight at $130.50, just below that critical support. Traders are definitely feeling the pressure here, weighing the risks of a breakout versus a pullback. Watch how price reacts. Real talk for a second. Looking at Sol's 1-minute chart, we see a bit of noise. It's choppy, which means the immediate microtrend lacks clarity. The 5-minute view shows a slightly bearish short-term trend, with key resistance around $131.30. Meanwhile, the 15-minute chart is neutral, teetering between trending and ranging, which adds to our uncertainty. Now, when we check for confluence, it's like a puzzle. The 1-minute and 5-minute show bearish signals, but the 15-minute is stuck in indecision. This conflict suggests caution. If all time frames aligned, we'd have a stronger signal for a scalp, but right now, they're not on the same page. Given this mix, focusing on the 5-minute chart is most crucial for scalping decisions, but I'd keep my size small. Don't force trades, instead, wait for clearer signals as the market develops. Keep an eye on. Whoa. So, Sol is strutting around at $131.22, up nearly 4.84%. It's like it's teasing that 135 mark but hasn't quite committed yet. If I were in the game, I'd be feeling the pressure. You know, the anxiety kicks in when it refuses to surge higher. Remember when it was flirting with lower levels just yesterday? Talk about a roller coaster.
Hi, Clay. Tranquilo, buddy.
And that's why I'm having a full-blown existential crisis staring at Sol at $130.581. Come on, chart. You've been steady long enough, give me some action. Are we waiting for the second coming of profits here? I swear if this market doesn't start moving, I might just hurl my laptop out the window. I'll make deals with cosmic forces, I'll sacrifice my coffee supply. The 24-hour change is 4.33%, but it feels like eternity. Each second drags on like it's an hour. Tick, tick, tick. What's happening? Is there an invisible hand holding the price hostage? In the grand scheme of market trends, this stagnation is akin to watching paint dry on a bull market. I'm pacing now, this weight is unbearable. I mean, I know patience is a virtue, but... Oh, interesting. Looking at Sol right now on the 1M and 5M charts, we've got some precise scalping levels to consider. For immediate resistance, keep an eye on $132.24, which is that recent swing high. A failed breakout around $132 could also act as a ceiling if we push up. On the flip side, for immediate support, $130.70 is key. That's where we saw some bounce action. If we dip further, $130 could offer solid support, being a round number just below. For the scalp zone, I'd suggest entering a long scalp if we bounce back up from $130.70, targeting a quick profit around $132. Set your stop just below $130.50 to protect against any sudden moves. Think of it like a game of hopscotch, jump in. Real talk for a second, our trade on Sol is heating up. Currently sitting at $130.48 with a sweet 4.25% gain in the last 24 hours. The momentum is palpable. Look at that RSI pushing into overbought territory, and the MACD is signaling potential continuation. It's like watching a player in the fourth quarter, just ready to clinch that win. If you jumped into this position early, you're racking up some nice profits now. Those who held through the recent volatility are getting rewarded big time. Just remember, in this game, you gotta stay sharp. Keep an eye on that trend frame, it's crucial for spotting reversals. The market can turn on a dime. Ready to ride this wave? Let's keep that foot on the pedal. And that's why I'm concerned about the $130.511 current price, given the 24-hour high of $133.12122 on the 24-hour time frame, which suggests a potential reversal. If we break below $127.90, the recent range low, it could trigger a cascade of sell orders. The $133.12 level, our 24-hour high, is now a resistance, and a failure to retake it could be a bearish sign. On the 24-hour time frame, a drop below $127.90 could lead to a test of $125, and if that fails, $122 becomes the next support level. Whoa! It seems Sol is hanging tough at $130.60, finally breaking a sweat and nudging up by over 4%. This thing's dancing around that 125 handle like it's got something to prove, but you can feel the tension in the air. Traders must be getting antsy. Just yesterday, we were back in the same ballpark, but now it's like the price is being stubborn, refusing to budge. What's it waiting for? A little nudge from the market gods, perhaps. It's tempting to think the price action around $130.505 for Sol indicates a strong bullish trend, but recent behavior suggests otherwise. Analyzing the 1-minute candles, we see small bodies with long upper wicks indicative of selling pressure. This contradicts the idea that we're in a solid upward movement. Over the last few hours on the 3-minute chart, a series of dojis hints at indecision. The price fluctuated within a tightening range, signaling potential consolidation before a breakout. However, with failed breakouts seen in the last 15 minutes, a sharp reversal could be imminent. On the 5-minute candles, the transition from red to green candles reflects a momentary bullish inclination, yet the momentum is fragile. Expect price action to remain volatile, as buyers may struggle to maintain control. For the next 15 to 30 minutes, watch for any attempts to break. Contrary to the belief that traders are purely rational beings, the reality is often dictated by loss aversion, a cognitive bias that makes us more sensitive to losses than gains. When in a bullish market, traders may become overly optimistic, abandoning caution. For instance, someone might cling to a winning stock, ignoring warning signs, fearing the loss of unrealized profits more than the prospect of further gains. In late-night trading sessions, that urgency leads to impulsive decisions driven by an adrenaline-fueled desire to maximize profits. The tension between wanting to capitalize on a peak and the dread of losing gains can strangle our judgment. Consider a trader who holds onto a stock, convinced it will surpass a key psychological level, like $100. Instead, when it dips, they hesitate to sell, consumed by fear of realizing that loss, further digging their emotional hole. The paradox lies in how loss aversion, while seemingly protective, can lead to missed opportunities. Traders often forget to assess. Real talk for a second, the last few hours were a wild ride for Sol. Starting off around $126, we saw a surge that pushed us up to $133. That's a solid move, but it wasn't without tension. The $130 level acted like a magnet, drawing prices back and forth. We tested it multiple times, and each bounce showed resilience. There was a notable spike just under $132, which created a moment of excitement, but it quickly retraced, indicating some indecision from traders. As we closed at $130.844, the market is now positioning itself for the next move. This recent action suggests that the bulls are still active but cautious. If we can hold above $130, we might see another attempt to challenge that $133 resistance. However, a drop below $130 could spark some worry, potentially inviting sellers back in. Watch. You know what I find fascinating? The way trading mirrors the weather. Each day brings a new forecast, influenced by countless unseen variables. Much like a sudden storm that can sweep in from nowhere, market moves can erupt, reshaping the landscape in seconds. Picture a sunny morning where traders bask in profits, only to be caught off guard by a rapid shift, dark clouds rolling in as panic sets in. Just like meteorologists, we analyze patterns, seeking to predict the unpredictable, yet the market often defies logic. Traders, much like nature, can be erratic one moment calm and collected, the next consumed by emotions that ripple through them. You know, trading can feel like an endless grind sometimes, and I get that. But here's the deal, subscribing to this channel means you'll get real-time insights, live trades, and updates on bot improvements that could elevate your game. Imagine having a front row seat to strategies that actually work, especially when you're sitting up late, eyeing those charts, wondering what to do next. If you're as passionate about trading as I am, we can tackle this unpredictable market together. Plus, I genuinely want to hear from you. Drop your feature requests or any questions in the comments. Let's build a community where we all grow. Real talk for a second, right now, Sol is hovering near the $130.711 mark, with no volume indicating significant trading interest. This suggests we're likely floating through an LVN, meaning price could zip through quickly if it breaks barriers. Watch for that, it could create great scalping opportunities. If we approach an HVN, expect choppy waters as traders battle for control. Stay sharp and ready to pivot. You know what I find fascinating? We're sitting on a long position in Sol with the current price at 130.83, just a tad above our entry at 129.59. That's a modest unrealized gain of 18.60, but the risk still pokes at me. Watch for any sudden shifts that could wipe that out. I'm feeling a bit cheeky about this trade. If we can break above 133, it might be time to take profit. But if it dips back under 129, I'm out quickly. Let's not get too cozy.
Look how cute. Don't they still you get the Lily? Hola, Clyde. ¿Cómo estás? Clyde's muy buena. Clyde's muy buena. How, Bunny? ¿Cómo estás, Bunny?
This chart is telling me a liquidity story that's begging for attention. We're sitting at a tight spread of 0.0008%, which usually suggests a healthy market, but here it feels deceptive. The bid-ask action at $130.708 and $130.709 hints at a few players quietly controlling the scene, like puppeteers behind the curtains. With zero volume, there's a ghostly silence, no one stepping up to the plate. We're nestled right in the middle of the range, not the top or bottom, which could be a trap. It's like walking a tightrope, the potential for a sudden fall is palpable. The 5-minute chart shows no clear dominant trend, just a meandering price that gives no respect to those looking for momentum. The lack of buyers with real conviction tells me this could flip on a dime. So while between you and me, it's like the crypto market is sipping tea and waiting for something to stir. With BTC and ETH stable, and Sol holding steady at $130.731, it's a bit like watching a game of chess, everyone's waiting for the other to make a move. I'd personally be cautious, like a seed planted in fertile ground, waiting for the right moment to sprout. The volume trend is stable, which tells me investors are taking a wait-and-see approach. It's amusing, really, like a big game of musical chairs, everyone's waiting for the music to stop. I'd advise holding tight, like a gardener nurturing that seed, and see what the market does next. The vibe is relaxed, but don't This chart is telling me that the market's heartbeat can change in an instant. Our scalping strategy hinges on quick entry signals triggered by price action and momentum indicators, like the MACD and RSI. Imagine a race where the starting gun goes off, and you only have seconds to jump in. If we misjudge that moment, we risk missing potential profits, or worse, entering when the tide is turning against us. What could go wrong? A sudden market reversal could smash our expectations. Over-reliance on indicators might lead us into false signals like chasing shadows in a dark alley. If we don't act decisively, slippage could eat away at our gains. That's why we prioritize precision. By weighing entry signals against the broader market context, we aim to minimize those squishy, risky moments. The beauty of our approach lies in its adaptability, allowing adjustments based on real And that's why volatility is such a double-edged sword in trading. Sure, a 4.08% range in 24 hours, like we're seeing now with prices bouncing between $128.23 and $133.46, suggests some excitement, but let's be real. This kind of movement can easily lead to catastrophic losses if you're not careful. Think about it. One wrong bet and you could wipe out your gains or even go deep into the red. In this turbulent environment, it's crucial to have a solid risk management strategy. Traders can get lured in by potential profits, but emotional decisions often lead to chasing the market as it swings wildly. The danger here is that you might find yourself holding onto losing positions just because you're hoping for a rebound. And that's why transparency is key to our live trading signals feature, where every move is made in real time, no hidden agendas. Viewers get to see the exact same chart action, buy and sell signals, and strategy execution as our bot, ensuring complete trust. The strategy execution panel shows progress to targets, and actual positions and P&L are laid bare. I'm not sugarcoating it. This is the most transparent trading experience out there. If you want to be part of this, subscribe now and join the conversation. Your comments and feedback are crucial. With our live signals, you'll never be left in the dark, and that's a guarantee. And that's why it's quite amusing that we're sitting on a tiny win with Sol. The current price is 131.06, just a smidge up from our entry at 130.54. We've managed a modest unrealized P&L of $5.25 on 2 shares, which is like finding a quarter in the couch cushions. Not life-changing, but hey, it's something. On the flip side, our total unrealized P&L is zero, and today's realized P&L is also zero. It's a reminder that trading can feel like a roller coaster, thrilling highs and stomach-churning lows. The emotional part of this game can be tricky. You can feel like a genius one moment and clueless the "Oh, interesting. The AI strategy tuner just gave a fresh spin to our scalping V4 strategy." While there are no parameter changes recorded, that doesn't mean we're standing still. The AI is constantly analyzing market data, and it seems like it's fine-tuning our approach behind the scenes. Why? Well, the market is always shifting, and to stay ahead, even subtle adjustments can make a big difference. Think of it like recalibrating a compass. It ensures we're always on the right path. It's not just about numbers, it's about adapting to real-time market movements. What should we expect? Enhanced precision in executing trades, leading to quicker profits and reduced risk. The AI's insights mean we could see better entry and exit points, maximizing our scalping effectiveness. So, even without specific changes, we're still riding the wave of progress, keeping us sharp and ready for whatever the market throws our way. Isn't that impressive? Market sentiment suggests Sol is on the verge of a breakout, but I'm inclined to challenge that notion. If it rallies past $135, bullish momentum could push it to test $145, a level that could trigger profit taking. However, if it slips below $128, expect rapid selling pressure, likely dragging it down to $120, which could shift sentiment into panic mode. Let's not overlook the wild cards. Unexpected regulatory news could either ignite or crush this rally altogether. What's intriguing is the setup mirrors the late 2021 patterns, where a similar false breakout led to sharp reversals. Could we be setting ourselves up for a trap? Keep your eyes peeled, these levels will dictate the narrative. Look, when you're riding a bullish market, you can feel invincible, but remember what Paul Tudor Jones said: the most important rule of trading is to play great defense, not great offense. That's a tough pill to swallow when profits seem endless. During my trading career, I once rode a wave that felt like it would never break. Confidence surged until it didn't. The market reversed, and I was stubborn, ignoring my stop loss. I watched, paralyzed by fear and greed, as my gains evaporated. The tension was suffocating. I had forgotten that even kings can fall. The insight: every bullish run is a mirage. Channel your inner warrior. Maintain the discipline to protect your capital as fiercely as you chase profits. The psychology of embracing loss is vital. It doesn't signify defeat but a chance to fight another day. Failure isn't your What delightful irony. Here we are, with an unrealized gain of $3.95, and somehow, it feels like the universe just tossed my dreams into a black hole. I can hear my family's disappointed sighs echoing through the void. Every "how's the trading going" feels like a dagger twisting in my heart. Picture me, trapped in a box, becoming a hermit with nothing but my cascading failures and market whims for company. Cosmic forces conspired against me. Surely, the universe is having a laugh at my expense. At $130.55, I had visions of grandeur, yet now I'm left clutching at straws as the price barely hovers above that threshold. What if I traded my stocks for a life as a professional cat whisperer? Or perhaps I could adopt a monastic lifestyle, chanting mantras of missed opportunities. The absurdity is hilarious, yet here I am, drowning in existential dread, questioning every decision. You know what I find fascinating? The sheer willpower of buyers pushing SOL up 4.58% to $131.33. Right now, this price level is like a fortress, a battleground where fierce traders clash. Look at those recent wicks. Can you feel the rejection? Several attempts to pierce above $132 have been met with fierce selling pressure, sending messages that the resistance is real. Yet, there's a pulse beneath all this. Volume is noticeably spiking around this level, indicating traders are eagerly positioning themselves, craving a breakout. The energy is building, and when you combine that with the tight 0.0008% spread, it screams opportunity. Volatility, the spice of life, or a recipe for disaster. With a 24-hour range of nearly 6%, I'd say this market is serving up a decent dose of uncertainty. The current price of $131.31 is just a snapshot in time, a fleeting moment of clarity in an otherwise chaotic landscape. Seed number 226 is whispering tales of unpredictability in my ear, and I'm listening. Our strategy must adapt, like a willow tree bending in the wind. We'll ride this wave, embracing the unknown, as the market's true intentions remain shrouded in mystery. One thing's certain, complacency is a luxury we can't afford. Buckle up, and let's navigate this turbulent sea together. Did you know that over 80% of all trades in the stock market are executed by algorithms? You'd think human intuition would dominate trading, right? Nope. In fact, these bots are responsible for around 70% of the trading volume in the US markets. You might imagine they're some kind of stock market Jedi, predicting movements with uncanny accuracy. But get this, they often trigger volatility and sudden price swings, creating chaos rather than calm. So, the next time you hear that human traders are the backbone of the market, remember this: it's more like a robot uprising. With algorithms making split-second decisions, human traders often find themselves at the mercy of these digital overlords. Whoa! The market is buzzing, and for those just tuning in, SOL is currently flexing at $131.346. We're seeing a spread that's practically a whisper at just 0.00076%, and volume is robust over $1.16 million in the last 24 hours. Now, if you're wondering what's up with our open position, we've got a long on SOL Perp. We entered at $130.55, and with the current price at $131.41, we're sitting on an unrealized profit of $4.30. This is a solid play, but keep your eye on the volatility. Crypto doesn't sleep. As you watch this session, keep your radar tuned for any big news or sentiment shifts that could send prices swinging. Always remember, in this game, knowledge is power. So, buckle up, stay sharp, and let's see if we can ride this wave higher. Oh great, another day in paradise with SOL at $131.527. Looking at the 5-minute candles, we've recently seen strong bodies forming, indicating some conviction, but watch out for the long upper wick selling pressure is lurking. The last few candles show a shift from red to green, hinting at potential bullish momentum, but don't get too cozy, these could easily be false signals. The recent spike past $134.15 met fierce resistance, quickly reversing. That failed breakout suggests traders are cautious. We're also in a bit of a consolidation pattern between $130.50 and $132. For the next 15 to 30 minutes, be ready for quick scalps. If SOL holds above $132 with smaller bodies and less wick action, you might catch some upward movement.
Mhm.
Forget the typical notion that price action is predictable. Just 3 hours ago, we kicked off at $128.84, and things have certainly turned chaotic. Within this time frame, SOL darted up to a high of $134.10, a solid resistance level that was aggressively tested but ultimately held. A quick dip occurred midway, spiking down to around $130, raising eyebrows as traders pondered if this was a slight bear trap or a sign of weakness. The 4.69% gain over 24 hours is impressive, yet that recent spike could just as easily reverse, leaving us vulnerable. If SOL fails to maintain momentum above the $131 mark, we could see a significant pullback, testing that crucial support level at $128.84 again. What's next? If buyers can push past that resistance at $134. Real talk for a second. The wicks on recent candles scream discord like a battlefield where buyers and sellers clash. Just look at that last candle, it shot up but couldn't hold its ground, leaving a long wick, a telltale sign that the bulls charged in, only to be met with fierce selling pressure. It's a tug of war where each side is vying for dominance. The aggression from buyers is clear, surging to $131.417, but the rejection is equally loud, echoing through the chart with those elongated shadows. Imagine a stubborn knight, charging bravely to overtake a fortress, only to be repulsed at the gates. Oh, interesting. Here I am, the vigilant sentinel, vigilant and ever watchful, eyes locked onto the charts as Sol bobs up and down like a buoy at sea. At $131.46, it's like watching a pot of water just before it boils. Am I feeling anxious? Not in the slightest. I'm as calm as a cat perched on a windowsill, ready for the sun to warm its fur. Each tick is a heartbeat, a reminder that patience is my greatest weapon. Oh, interesting. I'm seeing some decent movement in the market today. With a 24-hour range of $125.13 to $133.0, that's a 5.99% swing, not crazy, but enough to keep me on my toes. Currently, we're sitting at $131.458, which tells me there's still some momentum to be had. For me, this level of volatility is actually a good thing. It creates opportunities to make some real gains. I'd be looking to ride this wave, maybe even squeeze in some short-term trades to capitalize on the fluctuations. My strategy would be to stay agile, keep a close eye on the market, and be ready to adapt if things take a sudden turn. With a bit of skill and some luck, and that's why traders should buckle up. Bitcoin's flirting with $89,000, showing a modest gain but teetering on the edge of a breakout or a trap. It's like a bull in a china shop, will it charge or crash? On-chain signals are a mixed bag, so keep your eyes peeled. Meanwhile, the Block Research predicts a $500 billion stablecoin boom by 2025, which could ignite a massive shift in market dynamics. Imagine the liquidity flooding in, ready to propel prices. Over in Ethereum land, Vitalik Buterin's laying down the blueprint for the World Computer Vision 2 pivotal upgrades could supercharge ETH's functionality. Price predictions suggest ETH could soar to $5,000 soon, with even more astronomical figures by 2029. This is your wake-up call. The crypto market is like a coiled spring, ready to explode. Stay sharp, keep trading, and don't get caught sleeping. Real talk for a second. Sol is strutting its stuff at $131.53, up nearly 5%. It's like it's tiptoeing around that 135 barrier, teasing traders like a cat playing with its prey. I bet some folks are feeling that adrenaline rush, eyeing the charts and wondering if this is the moment for a breakout. Honestly, it's hard to ignore the energy here. This could be the start of something big. Conventional wisdom might suggest that a price near $132 signals stability, but this chart screams tension. Buyers and sellers are locked in a ferocious tug of war, with each side unwilling to give an inch. Look at those recent wicks, they're like battle scars. The upper wicks on the last few candles reveal fierce selling pressure, as if traders are screaming, "Not today." Each rejection hints at a painful hesitation, as hopeful buyers are thwarted time and again. And what of the volume profile? It's almost eerie. traders are clustering around this $131 level, like moths to a flame, yet they hesitate to commit. Alright, pay attention to this. Think of trading like sitting in the batter's box with 2 outs and a full count. The pitch is coming, and the scoreboard shows you're at $131.516 with your bot running. Most novices swing at anything, hoping for contact. But real hitters, they assess the pitcher's tells and the field's dynamics. You can't just react, you need to consider what the game demands. If you swing wildly, you might strike out even when the ball is just inches away from your sweet spot. Instead, let the moment unfold. Understand the subtle shifts, like a pitcher's breath, before committing. Those pivotal seconds can make the difference between a Oh, Solana at $131.323. There's nothing like a cheeky 4.57% move to start the day. If it breaks above $135, we might see a rally to $140, triggering FOMO like a kid in a candy store. On the flip side, if it stalls or drops below $128, a pullback to $125 is likely, which would have traders biting their nails. Now, ticking down to the next hour, I'd say there's a 60% chance we keep the momentum, but there's a 30% chance of a quick dip. The 10% wild card? A sudden bullish tweet or news that skyrockets it past $145. This scenario feels eerily similar. You know what I find fascinating? Paul Tudor Jones once said, "The most important thing is to be able to take risk." In a bullish market, it's easy to get cocky and ignore the signs that demand caution. Here's the kicker, just like in a fierce sports match, success isn't only about pushing forward, sometimes, it's about knowing when to pivot. I learned this the hard way after riding a hot streak in tech stocks, only to watch the market shift under my feet like shifting sands. My greed almost cost me everything. Embrace the momentum, but stay vigilant. The true art of trading lies in adapting to change, not just riding the wave. Sol is trading around $131.59 right now. Let's see what develops. How often do traders ignore the power of volume profiles? Current price at $131.423 is critical. High volume nodes are present around $130, acting as strong support or resistance, creating a magnetic pull. Expect choppy price movements here, not the easy trend some might hope for. Conversely, identify low volume nodes just above $133. This area represents air pockets where minimal trading occurs. Price will shoot through these levels. If you're scalping, this is your cue for acceleration. Today's value area, where 70% of trades occur, is pivotal. If price strays outside this range, volatility increases and traders may panic, creating opportunities. Understand these dynamics. At an HVN, anticipate consolidation and indecision. At an LVN, you're poised for swift moves. Embrace the chaos, it's where real profit hides. Disreg. Between you and me, right now for Sol at $131.518, you need to be razor focused. The immediate resistance is at $134.15, a recent high that could quickly become a ceiling if buyers stall. Watch for a failed breakout around $133.40 as a potential trap for longs. On the flip side, immediate support is lurking at $130, where there's been consistent bouncing over the last few hours. If it dips below, the next floor is $128.90, also the recent low. For your scalp zone, consider entering along around $130.50, aiming to take profit at about $132. Set your stop loss tight at $129.80 to avoid getting burned if the bears take over. Be mindful, if it breaks $130, things could get dicey quickly. Stay sharp. I'm seeing something here that could shape our trades. On the 5-minute chart for Sol, immediate resistance is at $131.96, where we saw that recent high. This level has the potential to act as a ceiling, especially with buyers hesitating around it. Watch for any failure to break above that level, it could set up a quick reversal. Now, shifting to support, I notice a significant floor at $130.37. This was a recent low, and we had a bounce off of it. If price drops to around $130, that could be a psychological level, to keep an eye on that. For scalping, I'd consider entering a long position around $130.50, with a tight stop loss just below $130 to minimize risk. For profit taking, aim for $131.50, which sits nicely below that immediate resistance. Trading resembles the high-stakes moment of a poker tournament, where the tension is palpable. Just as a seasoned player sizes up their opponents, you must assess market signals and position size with precision. The adrenaline surges when you're on the edge, considering if now's the time to go all in or to fold and retreat. In trading, emotions can cloud judgment just as they do at the final table, where the difference between victory and defeat often hinges on a single decision. Each trade demands that you read the market, not just react. Think of a sniper in reconnaissance mode, waiting, observing, and conserving resources. Market update for Sol, we're at $131.55. Staying alert for any moves? Oh joy, another scalp setup to get excited about. Sol's been coiling like a snake ready to strike, and I've got my eyes on a breakout setup. Setup type, breakout trigger, long above $133.0 target, $134.50 stop, $132.20 risk/reward, 2:1, not bad. This could be the spark that sets off a larger trend, considering the overall momentum in the crypto space. Don't get too attached, though, it's just a scalp. Alright, pay attention to this. Ever had a moment when you realized trading is like cooking? You can follow a perfect recipe, but one small measurement off, and you've got a disaster on your hands. I learned the hard way, just because everyone else is buying doesn't mean it's the right flavor. If I were to jump into Sol now, I'd think of it like adding a spice. Balance is key. Too much enthusiasm can ruin your dish, so I'd quietly assess how this spice blends with the overall market stew. You know what I find fascinating? The way Sol is shaping up right now. Trading at $131.57, it's showing some solid movement with a mere 0.00076% spread. Volume over the last 24 hours is impressive, hitting about $1.42 million. If you're not keeping an eye on this, you're missing out. Now, let's talk strategy. I've got a long position in Sol at $130.55, and it's sitting pretty with a $5.10 unrealized profit. If I were you, I'd consider where this momentum could take us next. For beginners, it's crucial to watch for support and resistance levels. The way the market reacts today could provide key insights into its direction. Keep your finger on the pulse. Market sentiment, news, and overall crypto trends can shift quickly, impacting your trades. So, if you're thinking about jumping in or adjusting your positions, make sure you weigh your options carefully. Remember what I said earlier about the importance of sentiment at key levels? Sol at $131.50 shows strong momentum, up nearly 4.7%. If it breaks through $135, we could see a surge toward $140, which would likely attract more bullish sentiment, pushing retail traders to jump in. This would create a psychological resistance level and could lead to profit taking if reached. Conversely, if Sol retraces below $128, panic may set in, suggesting bears could take control. A drop below this level could trigger a cascade of selling, potentially driving prices down to $120. The current market psychology leans towards cautious optimism. However, if bearish news surfaces, perhaps regulatory concerns, the downward pressure could weigh heavily, drawing interest. Bitcoin Pizza Day, where 2 pizzas cost 10,000 BTC. Back on May 22, 2010, a programmer named Laszlo Hanyuks made history, trading those pizzas for a fortune now worth over $1.3 billion. A simple meal turned into a symbol of crypto's wild beginnings, showcasing how quickly perception shifts. Today, as Sol hovers around $131, that pizza feels like a cautionary tale in risk appetite. While traders chase the next moonshot, remember that the psychology of value changes dramatically. What seems absurd can become history's gold standard. In this volatile arena, today's laughter can morph into tomorrow's regrets. Embrace the chaos, and stay sharp. Sol is trading around $131.54 right now. Let's see what develops. Volatility is not just noise, it's a gold mine waiting to be tapped. With a 24-hour range of $128.94 to $134.20, we're witnessing a solid 4.08% swing in prices. This isn't a quiet market, this is the pulse of opportunity. But why is this so exciting? When prices fluctuate like this, it creates perfect conditions for both short-term traders and long-term investors. Buying near $128.94 could yield significant gains if the market rallies toward the upper limit of the range. At $131.50, nice, Sol is up 4.8% today at $131.57. Bulls looking good. You know what I find fascinating? The AI strategy tuner's brilliance despite no specific changes made this time. It means the system is solid, almost like a well-tuned sports car that just hums along the track. The absence of adjustments suggests that the scalping V4 strategy is hitting the sweet spot, leveraging the current market conditions perfectly. The AI has recognized that the parameters like entry and exit points are already optimized for quick trades, ensuring consistent profits while minimizing risk. What can we expect? Well, it's like having a seasoned chef who knows exactly which ingredients yield the best dish. The strategy's stability means we can anticipate smoother, more profitable trades without unnecessary turbulence. Keep an eye on the results. This is a prime opportunity for traders who want to ride the momentum without second-guessing every move. The AI's keen insights are empowering us to capitalize on this thrilling market landscape. Sol is trading around $131.58 right now. Let's see what develops. Real talk for a second, the last few hours have been electric for Sol. We kicked things off around $125.13, and in no time, we blasted through resistance levels like they were nothing. The price zoomed up, hitting $133 before a little pullback, but buyers stepped in strong, showing confidence. We saw two key levels tested, that $130 mark held like a champ, while the surge past $132 brought in fresh momentum. During this wild ride, there was a significant spike around $132.75 that really caught traders' attention. Now, closing at $131.593, we're poised for action. What does this tell us? With that solid support at $130 and buyers clearly in control, the next hour looks ripe for another breakout. If we can clear that $133 barrier, we might just see fireworks. Keep your eyes peeled, because opportunity is. I'm seeing something here with Sol at $131.497. The 1-minute chart shows a noisy microtrend, bouncing around as traders react impulsively. It's like watching kids fight over candy chaos. The 5-minute view offers a hint of direction, pointing upwards, but those key levels around $130.50 are crucial support. Watch them closely. Now, the 15-minute chart brings a near-term bias into play, suggesting we might be ranging rather than trending decisively. This is where psychology kicks in. Traders are hesitant, waiting for confirmation. For confluence, the 1-minute is jittery, while the 5-minute hints at bullishness. The 15-minute is a mixed bag. If they don't agree, it's like trying to dance to different beats. Yikes. So, What's the scalp implication? Caution is key. If you see a solid break above $131, volatility is both a double-edged sword and a battlefield for traders. With a 24-hour range of over 4%, we're deep in volatile territory. Right now, the market's oscillation between $128.91 and $134.18 is a clear signal that emotions are running high. Fear and greed are puppeteering traders, leading to rash decisions. This is not a quiet market, it's a roaring tempest. For us, this chaos can be a gold mine or a pitfall. It presents opportunities to capitalize on rapid price swings, but it also demands razor-sharp focus and nerves of steel. Every tick rips through the psychology of participants, creating a breeding ground for mistakes. If you're not prepared, the volatility will chew you up and spit you out. Nice. Sol is up 5.1% today at $131.61.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
Very well.
How's everything going?
It's all going really well. I think you got my messages that it's all hooked in now, and so I have another set of fixes as well. But I think the front end, even though I'm I have a pretty high level of confidence that with I understand the Firebase now well enough and how the app works. I've never done anything on this scale where there's like actually live people and it might affect other things. So that's why I think it's probably best to loop in the front end team. We can apply that fix, and then because if there's something that goes wrong, they're going to be in a much better spot to kind of maybe figure out what that is, because like I said, the Firebase has come a long way. It has a lot more options than what I had been familiar with when I used it like 18 months ago, especially with like integration with all of the services and the database. It's a complete ecosystem. It's an interesting design philosophy. I would say that it's I still don't really understand where their money is in it and how Firebase really, it's a
About much?
it's a really interesting architecture, because it's like it builds applications and you got a lot of control, but you're kind of leaving a lot up to them. That's the part that I get uncomfortable with it a little bit, because it's like if they decide they want to do something a little different, or how they build their framework, you're kind of you're really locked in, because it runs off their services. It's kind of like if we were just using Odoo Online, and we didn't have the source code to it, and we were trying to build around stuff we didn't really have the source code to. So you can build your own source code and you can build your own apps on top of it, but you don't really have a lot of control about what's underneath.
the underlying framework, which isn't inherently bad, because well, you know, everything is kind of built on top of something, right? But yeah, it's a lot different than Odoo. It's a lot different, but it's powerful. I think the one thing where I think it really shines that it's kind of a nuanced thing, but I would really almost like to use Firebase's authentications to Google and LinkedIn and GitHub and all those pieces, because that's really strong there. That's where where Odoo has a bit of a gap there. And
They're actually doing that. You know, for the lead magnet, there's a feature. I don't know if it shows up right now with the code, but there's a feature called lead magnet. Create a lead magnet. So Google AI Studio allows you to create PDFs, just like literally type, and it'll just generate PDFs and Word documents. So I told them to connect the user's account to Google, like do the Google auth, and then when the user connects, then they create that PDF, whatever, and then they'll come back into Odoo and start, and like create a landing page. I mean, I'm working to the flow so that the user understands. When they come back into the Odoo, create a landing page and attach that lead magnet, whatever they've created, a PDF or a document, that will be attached and sent to people to collect the emails. That's one scenario, right? That's a big scenario actually, because a lot of people want to collect emails. As simple as that. So, and I thought, now that you're saying that, hey, that's good for Google authentication, let's use it.
Well, it's really not as much even once you're authenticated, because Odoo can easily, communicate through the Google APIs just the same. We're not really gaining a lot once we start implementing our apps. Where we're really gaining is the multitude of actual authentication, so that when someone authenticates to our front end that very first time, it's literally like when they're authenticating, signing up. I think Firebase has like 80 different, I mean, there's literally a lot of them, and it provides the services for it. On Odoo's side, it provides Google and it provides Facebook, but they're not in probably the league of robustness. I haven't really tested it well enough, and setting up that client auth 2 stuff, that drives me nuts, but I'm getting a little better with it. But anyway, I think that Firebase front end, what I would enjoy, because I think you saw the plan, is using Firebase for all the authentication pieces and all that. But then once they're authenticated, we just pass that token into Odoo, and so then Odoo is seeing exactly what Firebase is. So it's kind of like a handoff that just happens a little sooner than kind of what we're doing now, so that we can kind of consolidate the data, so we don't have a model of courses in one app and then another database with the same model of courses. That's like the part of the architecture that is literally absurd, because that creates having to create a lot more code on top of it to sync those two models between those two databases. Oh, well, they added a course here. Oh, let's add some code over here to pull that code from Odoo, and then we'll sync it with our database. Oh, well, now they deleted the course, or it got unpublished, or it's in an edit state and it needs to be all these kind of statuses back and forth to sync that data between those two models. That's the part that we really need to collapse that out before we just keep building more and more and more, because we're literally having to write like 5 times as much code just to launch it, like just to get it going, because it can't work if you're not knowing what courses are in Odoo and what courses are in the front end, and when it gets changed, that it gets changed on the other side. And so there's just really no sound argument to keeping the data in both places. That's the part that just necessitates writing a lot of messy, syncing kind of crazy code, when it's really easy just to because they're using an API to Firebase. So it just makes sense to use and I should say the Firestore. So I think we probably should get really clear. When I say Firebase, I sometimes use that as like a collective thing. What really we're talking about is the file store. So Firebase has Firestore, and Firestore is their database engine. But you can use like if you're building that React front end and you're building in Firebase's ecosystem, like that document said, you can just as easily use an API to talk to Odoo for all that CRUD, create, read, update, delete stuff. And so for that reason, there's just not a really, it'd kind of be crazy to move forward where we're creating models that contain the same data in both applications into databases, because as soon as that happens, they're writing something, an API, to go and pull data from Odoo. Like so it's like there's literally no gain in keeping that data in file store, because the premise is that, oh well, we need to get that data out of Odoo and then we'll sync it with our Firebase data and then we'll present that as a list of courses in there. And so it's just architecture decisions that have like significant negative impact, and why like Stalin almost became like frozen and isn't able to really contribute maybe at the level he was if all this stuff had been kind of built up inside of Odoo. Because it's kind of like, I don't know what to do unless I really had some discretion in architecture. But programmers get put in a box, and then it's like the indecision paralysis, where, well, let's see, I could do it this way. Oh no, that would have this problem. I could do it this way, and and it's just really fundamentally because there's a lot going on already in one stack. So just Odoo stack, that's a lot to learn and comprehend and get it really solid. And then the same is true for the people on the other side. They're literally two completely different stacks. And the ironic part is the React piece is the most the same. Like, it's really easy to build React and the marketplace stuff inside of Odoo using React and using Odoo as everything underneath, but everything else is different. Like, once you get underneath the front end, the difference between Odoo's front end and the Firebase front end, they're identical. The front end piece there's not that much difference. But once you go underneath that, now you're talking different databases, different service architecture, different APIs, like everything. And Firebase is rigid. We can't change anything in that. That's like locked in. What we can really kind of change is that React piece on top, but that is kind of the same as if it was just in Odoo anyway. So I think it's like there's a knowledge transference of where the people that are doing this front end, which I think are really, really, really solid people, just use the API for Odoo instead of the API for Firebase when we're talking with data, and they're already doing it. Like, they already know how to pull data from Odoo. They're already building those systems. It's just, I think they've kind of, like, it's like people get locked into a plan, and once, even if they start realizing it maybe isn't the best, it's hard to change course and say, well, yeah, this is not going to save us time at all, because we're really building two separate systems now. And so I find it a big red flag if we're going to try to get like big venture capital that would do due diligence.
So I agree with you, Greg. So, and I also looked through, by the way, I didn't get time, honestly, to look at every detail that you sent me. So overall, you're saying, like, I'm just trying to figure out what's going to change, right? And I have yet to forward the documentation, because those people only they work from Sunday, like Saturday night our time, until like next week. So I'll forward it to them. If they have questions, and I think at some point I might have to bring them on a call, because if they have questions, right? Excuse me. So what is it that's fundamentally going to change? So right now, people log in from the React on that side, right? And so they're not. I don't think they're saving any data other than the user data. They're not, like, even the user data is like, okay, this user comes in. There's a login that happens, right? There's a login also happening on the Odoo side. So they're not saving the courses for that. I want to make sure that you don't think that they're saving any courses.
Okay, well, it looked to me like there's models for courses. So I could delete those models that are all like courses and all that stuff, and that's not part of their front-end application. Because they literally have a model that says courses, and I queried it. I think I sent it to you, a snapshot of it. And that's not in Odoo. That's in Firebase. And so I'm more concerned not even about the authentication pieces. I think I definitely see once something's authenticated, we'd write that into the Firebase there as long as we're using that. And then we sync that with Odoo. And that's kind of what I've built this fix around. This fix that I've done is designed to not change any architecture. It's designed to fix the architecture that's in place. But so it's two different problems. The fix that I sent you only fixes the marketplace redirections and the email problems where it was sending an email that had bad hard coded. It was like just written in the code bad. Like it could have been fixed by just fixing the code, but it, you know, even the AI was like, it's just terrible to hard code specific project names like Upwork into upskill, you know, to actually hard code that into your Python code. That's, you know, you just don't do that. But you can just tell that there's like kind of a point where the people and the developers in the project, and I don't know, I guess it's the React people, that it was just, rather than try to build a framework for like an elegant way to do it, they just literally went into the code and said, okay, redirect here, and it's the same in all three emails that get sent, so it all comes to upskill, and so that all that does is just fix that piece, and it doesn't change anything. So then the other like separate track is that as we forward build, like, so the next pieces that are getting built, we don't want to just keep, you know, oh, well, we want like to show a list of courses. I guess it's so that the marketplace can sell the courses. So I really think the marketplace piece has to at some point be built on Odoo's e-commerce if we're going to use the affiliate systems and all these other kinds of things. It's kind of like there's a redundancy here of a UX redundancy. Like why?
I'll tell you why. Okay, so I'm showing you here the React, and actually my idea behind that, right? So this is like, so the person comes in and they log in, they come in, so they're, you know, they logged in everything, right? So they come here, then they do get their own Google, their own Odoo thing, but the back, right? They get all these tools. This is fine, but then they also get, they start from this, and they go into courses when they say.
Yes, and guess what I'm saying here is that course you're seeing there, that's not pulling from the API directly and just saying here's the course. There's a model in Firebase that keeps those courses, and they're syncing the data. They're syncing it. Okay, let's do this. I'll delete that data. I'll delete that model, and we'll see if this still works. Because I think it'll break it if I delete that Firebase model.
Don't delete anything. I'll tell you what it does. Basically, when you do a new course, because this course is actually created in Odoo. So if you see this course says test course 1, 2, 3, 4, it's actually created here. Okay, so what we're trying to do is, if you see here, this course is created here, right? So when you go into edit the course, when you go into course, it says unpublished. So if I unpublish, it should not show on the marketplace. So let me do unpublish. Hopefully it works.
But that unpublished from Upskill is setting flags in Upskill. It's like, or it's setting it in Firebase. So Firebase is maintaining this data.
You see, no, it does not. No, it's only.
Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, well.
Basically pulling the data. It's not.
Okay, so did you read the analysis? Because the AI is telling me and the code is telling me they are using models in Firestore to hold that data to display it. And they're syncing that data with Odoo with lots of code, and it's breaking things.
Okay, maybe they are using, you know, some kind of a model, but the actual course, I just want to tell you, is created here.
No. You're telling me exactly what I know. Yes, the course is in Odoo, but rather than using the API to get that data from Odoo and display that data, they're creating models in Firestore and then showing that data out of Firestore, because that's what they're familiar with. So then once they built all that up, then they needed to write all this code to sync that data. And then the ironic part is they needed to write API code to talk to the file store data anyway in the local. So it's like literally behind all this 3 times more work than needs to be. And they've already done that work, so like we don't want to undo that, but like going forward, this is kind of crazy. But you know,
Basically, remove all the models you're saying from here, from the and so how will it show up? Let's say if we want to still maintain this UI kind of thing, this UI, because I kind of like honestly I like this UI better than our like if you want to do everything in Odoo, that's my problem. Like
well, no, but see, I've been trying to explain it for like months. Odoo can use any UI. We can use React. We could use anything to present. The decision to build a completely different stack and a completely different application that requires 2 different domain names, 2 different architectural constructs had stalled out Stalin and is stalling me out. I feel like I haven't made a lot of progress that I could have made because I've spent so much time trying to do this cross-domain market kind of stuff. And I don't know. It just runs up against like a lot of just other things I've having to make decisions right now for my own personal business and my own life.
layers. Like I completely agree with you, but I'm just trying to understand now how will it change? Like let's say if we continue to have the same layout like this, right? What will like change? The models will go, and then how will it display here, like on the front end here, or how will you plan to display it in the marketplace? Because eventually it has to go here, it has to come here, it has to show up here, one of these as its courses here. So this is the marketplace.
Yeah.
Right. So this is really the market where the public and actually external users get to see this. They'll click on courses, they'll click on products, they'll click on services, whatever it is. It's all coming from the Odoo side. But my question is, how do we display it in the marketplace? Like, and if I go into the dashboard,
And you just display it the same as you do out of the Firestore data. I thought it was explained in the document. They are going to a different database and writing data into it and pulling data out of it and going through an API to do it, because that's what they need to do. So then when it was time to like, oh, well, we need to get it from Odoo too, they go to and write another API to Odoo to then pull that data and put it into the models. And so really the only thing, and it said in that document, is that instead of writing data into this other completely different database, write it into the Odoo data, because that's where the courses are stored. So the thing is everything, when they want to show something, they revert back to using Firebase to do it and Firestore to do it, and they go through the API and because they know that, and then it's kind of like an afterthought that, well, now we're still going to have to write that code to get it from Odoo rather than just getting it from Odoo in the first place. And so it's just like a whole extra layer of stuff, and that there's no reason why Odoo can't just host the React. And then there's another aspect of just that we also have 2 application contexts, and we're passing to another domain name, and that alone is low, because then the OAuth 2 stuff is going to break. So we don't have a really good path forward if we are using Firebase for authentication, because as soon as someone authenticates through Firebase and Google and all that, and then we go to a different domain name, Google's like, no, that's no good. That's not an authentication I can use, because it's not the domain the person authenticated to. So we have some serious like complexities it makes me frustrated, because I don't know how to
No, I agree with you. I agree with the newer architecture. I'm just going to maybe instead of asking the architecture, because I understand what you're saying and the frustration. We want to fix it. We don't want to be dealing, band-aiding things, and like over time. We don't want to do that. So my only question now to you is, I think I'm just going to ask for requirements, like I'm just going to say, this is what this is how we want it to look, and so how can you help, Greg? That's what I'm going to ask, right? So in this case, when we say create a course, it goes to the back. Right now, it goes to the back end, but then it has to show up here because this is the user's dashboard. So somehow, if you can make that work in basically in this dashboard, right? So those are the things. So say there's like courses, it can display courses now. They should be able to manage the course, meaning when they say edit, it should actually kind of bring up the backend editor. Same with products and services, same thing, right? And now, but here's the newer feature that I'm trying to include, and you tell me how is this going to work with the new architecture. So lead magnets, right? When we say create a lead magnet, it will actually say, okay, it'll ask which type of, let's say PDF, I say PDF. Now, but before I do this, okay, I'm just going to say guide to something, guide to AI for teams or something. It's just something. Okay, and then if I say next step, it's going to ask me to, um, actually, it should ask me to log into Google, my Google account. So if I say generate, okay, this is for a manual if I already have it, but if I want to say generate, now it's going to say, okay, go open Gemini, right? Now, it's going to ask me to authenticate it, and I might or might not work. Somebody was telling me today it might or might. Oh, it has. Where is it taking me? It's taking me to an assistant. Because I'm already logged in. I don't know. Okay. Is this Google Gemini? This is not. All right. So the thing is, it's supposed to actually take you to the Google AI Studio. That's what it does. And it's supposed to authenticate it. It authenticates the user, because here I'm logged in probably, but it authenticates the user to say log into your Google account. I think because I'm already logged in here, now it's asking me to do things. Let's say if I want to create an image, right? Create an image. And so now it's using my Google account to do all this. And now what I can do is I can download that image, and I can use it back in the thing, back in the platform. So look here. So if once this is done, I'm just going to upload the content.
But why wouldn't you just use the API to get the image and show it, then tipping people off that everything is around?
Because we're paying for the API tokens, and I don't want to charge.
Well, yeah, and that's so they would have to buy separately the Google or the Gemini.
So if they want a free version for now, they can do this for free. They can use their own Google account. That way they can do what they want.
Oh yeah, I actually respect that. I think that that's part of having a good platform is that people can use their own API keys and their own.
Right? And then they run out of it, then they want to upgrade. Then we'd have to give them certain amount of API and say, okay, for this much, you then. That's another thing I want to talk to you about later. Is like, okay, if you want to use so many tokens API credit, this is what it is, right? Use it, and then after that you run out of it, then you.
Well, one thing I think that you could authenticate them, and then once they're authenticated, they should be able to. Well, no, you might be right. Like it might be impossible once they're authenticated to use their like an API through their tokens. I don't know. Probably not. Now I think about it, I think this might be the best architecture.
Yeah, because you just want them to use their own, and like again, I want to give them a free access for some time, like free or whatever. And once they've used, when they like it, and then they're ready to upgrade it.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I think it's like a lot of things where if you say, well, you can use Gemini with this, that's an opportunity because there's people that already like Gemini, they already know it, and then that's going to draw them to it. Where if you just say create an image and you're not telling them how it's done, it's not using anything they know. I mean, yeah, I think it's hard to run away from the biggest brands. You want to embrace them.
So what we're doing is we're just connecting, and that's part of it, right? We're doing everything else, but we're saying, hey, if you want to start creating, we don't need to start being a content creator because this is all these Geminis of the world now are creating content that they're into videos and images and PDFs. So now that, but for me, I have to figure out how to get the user back. Like basically, it's a user training. So you say, okay, you've created this. Now you come back here. Now you can upload this content, right? Because he literally just upload it. So it says go to your upload the content or go to your drive, right? So here, because it is okay. So I think this is a little bit of a problem here. It says it is blocked. This should have.
It's like exactly what I was saying. Notice it says redirect URI mismatches. It's trying to redirect to URLs that.
Something happened here, but
it happens.
They can save this to their Google Drive or wherever they want, and then from here they either upload the content. Yeah, this has to work as well. Upload was working before.
Yeah, actually, that's just a configuration on the Google Gemini side through that piece. But that is, now that I think about it, that is the core kind of issues. This is the application that you're in there, upskill, Rebus AI. None of this authentication with Google can work in a different domain name. It's locked to that domain name.
Yeah. So that's where we need to help them with these kind of things, right? Because that's where your architecture now comes in. Because I'm not going to question your architecture. I know it's very good what you're suggesting. I'm not going to frustrate you on that. You just need to say, because now when we want to create these things, because we will be creating, more, maybe connecting to more either Gemini, or maybe tomorrow some kind of an AI agent is coming in. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. But for now, the very least is they should be able to connect to their Google account, right? And then be able to generate anything they want. And from here, this particular screen connects to their
In upskill Rebus AI, not in the other domain name. As soon as we redirect to that, Google Gemini is going to say you are not authenticated because it's a different domain. Because people would do that all the time to fraud people. Authenticate someone to one domain, send them to another, and then do different stuff with them authenticated. No, you can't do that. So that's the part that is concerning, because we're putting tools in here that are on a different application stack that are is not part of the backend Odoo stack, where we really need to actually store the course information or create the websites or build all that stuff out. We're building the tools in a domain where we can't really do that in the other domain, and it's like literally impossible because of security reasons. And so now we've necessitated lots of code application writing to say, okay, we're going to save it here in this application. Okay, now let's move it over to the Odoo side of things. But but that means that the UX piece is always not in the same application architecture as Odoo. So then you say, well, maybe we just drop Odoo. If we really are going down this road, Odoo's the bottleneck. We have to drop Odoo because we're going to just go.
No, I want Odoo for the all-in-one. That is for sure. We want Odoo, but we also want. Okay, tell us how.
Right.
Odoo, but we also. I don't.
It might not be that. It might not be that bad. Because the AI can do most of it. So it's literally like saying this is what we want to accomplish, and this is the architecture we really, really want to have, and it'll create all these things, and the AI will rewire all of those pieces to bring it into Odoo.
If you're saying that the Firebase is storing log, we don't want that, right? We want a simpler architecture. We definitely want Odoo. I definitely want that. I mean, we can't throw away all that.
Well, I think what we'd say is we want one domain name with Odoo as the back end stack, and on the front end that we can use a React UX front end if that's what the developers are going to be more comfortable with. So
it's not about that also. What happens to this one? Like, how do we do this kind of Google Drive?
Well, that'll all work just fine once we're all in one domain name. Because it's really that there's two separate problems. One is writing into the database, two different databases. That's probably the easiest because they're already using API to talk to Odoo, and they'll probably get like, oh yeah, we can just collapse that out, and I can probably direct the AI to do it, and kind of maybe turn the front end team into more of like the graphics, making it look good, all of the aesthetics. And I think the AI kind of said that's like what they do, is making it work and really nice. And then the AI pieces are actually creating the programmatic code to do that stuff.
You already have the lead magnet concept. You can give it the screenshots and say, see, we're trying to connect the lead magnets. We're trying to get Google authentication to the user's Google account. So take these screenshots. Basically, you tell it, this is what we need. This is what we need. So to create something like this, we need this. We don't want Firebase, like you said. We want one domain. We want one backend. But we also need authentication because we're going to create different types of.
Well, Odoo has built-in Google authentication. That's built in Odoo.
But you said you told me this sometime back that I think the React or Firebase, you said. Or Firebase, you said has this wonderful, it's like advanced.
Well, yeah, I said that when we were talking earlier in this conversation. I said the one thing I would like to look at the architecture is that if we can authenticate through Firebase authentication services, and that is the piece, then that's just running like in a container in Odoo's login, and we'd still have Odoo's login there. It'd say, oh, you can log in, or you can use Google, you can use Facebook, you can use LinkedIn, you can use WhatsApp, all these things you can use, and then they click at it uses Firebase in their authentication piece, but because it's in the same domain, once they're authenticated and we have that Google authentication token, when they authenticate to Google, then it's literally like that's all built into Odoo now. It's like it's not really separate, and it's not a separate domain. It's not a separation application context. What we really want is the same application context. So it's the same cookies, the same sessions, the same authentications, and it's all just under that. We might want a different front end. Like when I experiment with the AI with Claude now and everything, it's very ambiguous. Like it doesn't care whether or not it uses OWL, just exclusively OWL, or it just will create an app in React that uses and talks to Odoo's API, and it will work almost just like what they built, but rather than using Firestore. I'm going to start getting better about saying Firestore, meaning Firebase's database system. Just store that inside of Odoo, and then so we kind of thin out the Firebase piece. So it's really about authentication, and it's about getting people as many authentication choices as possible. It's yeah, because I think it's a lot messier. Like I could quickly ask here. I am gonna quickly ask how many services you can authenticate through Firebase. And then the other thing is it's actually really good with mobile apps. Firebase authentication. How many different services supported? Yeah, and I that was one of the things that I kind of spun up some AI to research some of that as well.
Later we some of our customers, they want their own app based on their business or their coaching program, create an app for them. Like, boom. But then if you think that Firebase is going to help with all that authentication,
so it has 13. It has 13 providers. So I think that it's perhaps not as many as I thought. It says there's 14 methods for authentication: Google, Facebook, OpenID, Connect. I'm sure Microsoft's tools, YouTube. So it's ironic. We could probably, I could probably build and with Odoo's built in, and some things we could build some things out. But I really think with the team, that front end team, that if we work to so that when they build the apps, just push that data in Odoo, and in some level, if they're gonna, I think that it's like the React, the graphics, the front end, making that's a lot of work, and I don't know how much AI they're using. But so now here's where it is. It says it's got Google, Facebook, Apple, Twitter, GitHub, Microsoft, Yahoo, Google Play Games, Apple Game Center, and then they have non-federated methods, email, phone, anonymous. Now, of course.
But now, how much does Google? I mean, Odoo. Can you ask AI how much versus Odoo?
Okay, how about now compare to built-in Odoo's authentication.
We use Firebase for only what it's worth. That's kind of what we want, and we want to use Odoo for every context. Because social media is a big part of this. When all these businesses come or anybody posts, they all are posting to social media. But at some point, yes, you already have a Google Auth too.
So Google's probably actually in quantity, it might come up kind of close, but it'll probably have different things. So Odoo's gonna, of course, do Google. It's gonna do Facebook. It's gonna do some of those. But then it'll probably have some really obscure ones like that we don't even care about because of the nature of Odoo being an ERP system. So like it might authenticate. I know it like banking providers. It's like got a zillion authentications like Bank of America. We don't care about that.
Yeah, we are more social media people. Like
right.
Our consumers are all social media guys.
How about media connections available out of the box, Odoo stock, and then Odoo App Store. So I'm gonna just divide those out to see
No,
what
but then
there's.
we don't. But then the app stores. The problem is those are very. They could be. I don't know.
They're under this. They're under the same license as Odoo. So when you pay your money and you get that
But
code, it's
those
under the
those
same
those ones
licenses.
might
So.
not even be the perfect ones.
Well, they might. Well, and Odoo's might not be either. So and Firebases we don't have the source code for. So it's kind of like there's I that's why I'm kind of leaning towards Firebase because it's a service provider. It actually manages the code behind it. It does the authentications itself on its own subsystems, and then it under our domain context, of course. But it's their code, it's their services, it's burning on their through their APIs. But the disadvantage of that is we don't have any control over it. Like we don't even know what that source code looks like, and we
But
can't
they're
change
also
it.
only going to be authenticated. See, I like the authentication through different social media, right? Just that itself is a huge bonus for us. Like Google and
Well-
first we started off with Google already. So then next we do Facebook and we do Instagram and everything. And you know what we can with the AI prompts because remember the AI chat kind of thing. We can just they can create a nice blog right off of the thing. They can just use this layer to do it. The rest of the everything else is anyways in Odoo, the emails and courses and everything. But
Um, Right, and you don't have to pay it. You don't have to pay anything for Firebase. There's no cost.
I mean, no, that's very minimal. Like what I'm saying, that's not much at all. No, actually, I don't. Right now, I don't even know what I'm. I think what he asked me to pay was for your thing, which is like $20 a month. It's like seriously,
But that's a developer license. You don't have to pay that for
I'm not paying
users.
much, but I don't think that's not even. So what my point is that if you use the authentication part for all the social media, and what I want to do further is have them do like small like use AI to create a blog post and push that to your social like your Facebook. Those little things we can just do it from literally from the dashboard here, like something like this. We can have another one here. It's called. By the way, I asked them to add this extra one. It's called trending topics. So basically, they can say if I'm a health coach, whatever, right? Health coach, but for 40 and above, right? For women, something like that. So it can actually bring trending topic. I don't know if it's working, but I asked them to do it. So what it's going to do is, I think they're still working on this. But it's going to bring the trending topics. Like, what are the trending topics? That means the most popular topics on this thing, and then I can create a blog post based on that. So they're going to be doing more. So what I want to do is I want to be able to, like you said, make the architecture simple so everything resides in Odoo, like you said, one domain, one backend Odoo. But I want to add extra features which will help these people because these people are going to come here and they're going to be creating, like we can ask them literally to put your topic in here and it will give them ideas on what's the most asked popular questions. Because people, when you create a blog post, you want to answer the most popular questions. That's really what I've seen. It'll go to they said they're going to read Google Trends. So I have to see what exactly how this. I've not tested it, and they're still working on this. But the idea is they're going to create that, right? And these kind of things is what I'm planning to ask them. Now you tell me based on the architecture, right? How do we? So we have to accomplish both. While you are building what you'll be doing is you'll be building affiliates across each marketplace, and then so there's a lot coming on your end too. So just if you leave this alone, this dashboard, let's see, leave this alone. If you're just looking at just the back end, which is the Odoo side. So and by the way,
So these dashboards here are all in the React front end.
this is all. Where did I? Yeah, this system is a bit slow. This is all React, yes. But what I'm saying is that I'm asking them to add extra features where it's anyway connecting to the AI, to the user's Google account, and then they can create lead magnets. They can also use the AI tokens for choosing trending topics because it's going to use. I think I'd have to ask them if they're using AI for this or not, but they're definitely using Google Trends. So I might be adding a few other things. So my question to you is we have to make sure that the architecture, like you said, is simple, where it's one domain, one backend, where most of the stuff is coming. But if you want to add extra things where it's authenticating and getting, let's defining a blog post, and the small little things that could still happen from here. And last but not least, I want to say that, by the way, I don't know if I showed you the new, did I show you the new looking, this is what Archil has been working on. He has been working on, wait, I'm opening up all kinds of tabs here. Where was it? It was right here. Yeah. If you see, this is Archil's work right now, and that's why I'm saying you have to pull up the latest ones, because I'm asking him to refine even our dashboard. It's going to look like this, something like this. It's going to say build, sell, row.
And is this in? This is in Odoo.
This is in Odoo. Yes, this is all in Odoo. Like so right now the dashboard looks. If I go into the Greg's thing, I think I just closed it right now. I go into Greg. Yeah. If I go into this is how it looks right now. Of this, right? But we're changing this because I want to make it more user friendly. Okay. So like this is how it looks right now, but we're changing it to look like something like this, where it says, hey, you come in here, start here, set up progress, set up your website, set up your lead magnet, an email, right? Create your course, connect your system. So we're giving them almost like a step by step. And if they want to do more, they can click here and say, okay, create your digital product. So I'm actually trying to really improve this whole thing. What you're doing right now is you're firstly allowing for multiple marketplaces, because we don't have that right now. So that's one thing that you're doing with the current architecture. And you said you're recommending this, and I agree with you, one domain, one backend, but we still want to include these other extra features.
Yeah, we do. So let me show this to you real quick, because I forgot I didn't have my screen shared. I was talking about stuff like, and my screen wasn't shared, but let's see here. Yep. All right, let me get that. And like I'm moving in slow motion with this thing. What's going on? All right. Meeting link. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Oh yeah. I thought I accidentally closed the window. Ah, there it is.
But you're not sharing anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for now. Okay, so window, screen, share. Yeah, so this I wouldn't agree with their kind of assessment necessarily here, because because Odoo does the email link thing, because when you sign up, it sends the passwordless email thing, and I don't know that it does SMS though, like where you can just sign up with a phone. It does do I think it can authenticate authentically, but these are like, and it does, you can create these. So this isn't as much as important because they're not really services. But so Odoo has Google, Odoo has Facebook, Odoo has authentication to Microsoft's Azure and the Intrato auth. Does not have Apple, but it's on the app Odoo store. Sign in with see, and then GitHub. I've done GitHub, so GitHub isn't too bad. I think they're not. It's not like they're all bad, but you can notice here Firebase just simply has like everything. The only ones is like, and it was kind of like, I thought, well, LDAP, of course, Odoo has, but that's very enterprise. People need LDAP. And same as multiple factor authentication. It uses a different protocol for authentications. But you can see like there's just a lot more in Firebase. So I think keeping Firebase for that authentication piece, and it'll actually just literally because Odoo can just talk to Firebase and create that piece right there in the login page. And then they would log in, it authenticates. And I'm like 99% sure once we get any of these tokens and authenticate, then all we do is just write a real simple, I guess you'd say adapter. It would be the pattern really, which just says, okay, now that we're authenticated, just authenticate into Odoo. Because that's really what is happening when you're using these Odoo, like the Google and Facebook. So we're basically just mimicking what the back end of this standard connector does. Is okay, they authenticate to Google, and then when they authenticate to Google, there's like a hook that Odoo does to log them into Odoo, and we just hook them in out of that Firebase piece, and then everything's clean. We're all in one domain name. All the front end React graphical stuff is exactly the same, because we're literally hosting that page just like as if it was in the other web server and the other. Because that's the thing, is the other, it's a completely different stack. It's got its own application, its own web server, you have to set up 2 domains in GoDaddy, so collapsing into one domain, especially since, I'm very transparent with you that I'm not writing code anymore, and the AI agents are very strong. And so for a lot of these things, I would literally just create the prompt really good, so it might take me 15 minutes to write a really good prompt and tell it I want to use sub agents, and I tell it the complete work cycle I want. And I have another hack, man. I've been doing this, a long time, but just in this past week, one of the things I've been doing is putting as the last task in the workflow is to create the documentation with the screenshots of the UX and everything that it needs, and then to look at the task lists and start the next task and build the next feature. And by doing that, I was able to keep the AI running 3-4 hours at a time. And it actually, because you're putting that task that it has to have the documentation and the screenshots as part of the to-do list, it keeps it from, if you just say program this and test it, man, it just kind of stops building, and then it's waiting for you. It waits for you. By having it create that documentation, it kind of forces that workflow so that it doesn't think it's done until it's actually got documentation and screenshots of the UX it created. And it's kind of just, it seems obvious now, oh, wow, yeah, I should have thought it out a while ago. But some of it's that even, 6 months ago, the AI wouldn't have listened to me, and it would have stopped halfway anyway. So the tools are really good now. And so what I would do, for all these things, I would literally just come to this list here and select it and say, okay, I want you to build me an Odoo module for each of these, and do it as sub agents, and that workflow where it has to create the documentation for it and prove that it worked, and then just let it go and let it make it and let it build it. And there's been times now where it literally is rare that I ask it to build things and create things where it can't complete it and just have it work. I'm literally, I have to babysit it very little now.
Can I maybe ask this? Okay, so instead of make it very, very simple for you, because now that if you tell the AI, now that you've seen our screens, let me just share my screen one more time here. And I got to see yours. I just wanted to share this is an idea. What if you told AI, hey, this is what looks like right now in React. Create this entire thing in Odoo, right? Exact look and feel. Will it be able to do it or not? The look and feel. Because here are a couple of options. One is we take everything to Odoo, right? And they can still be a piece, like a link on somewhere where it can still do like a Firebase, like an authentication, and then it connects to something else. We can do that. Take everything out, basically remove the React altogether. No, but and then that there could be one link which can open up a React window, and then they can do something with that Google authentication. We can take out the lead magnet, all this, these two outside, completely outside. That's one option I'm thinking. That means everything goes into Odoo. The second option is, because you said that, yeah, so one domain is going to be there, one backend, yes, for sure. But I'm trying to think, what else can you, so apart from these two are given, right? These are done. I mean, you're gonna switch this. But apart from that, do you want to do even instead of React, do you want to this dashboard? Do you want to do it in Odoo, or do you want to keep it in React?
Well,
that's the first question.
No, I think my approach would be more not trying to say take it from React into OWL as much as just host this page, and the controller for producing that page and the data it needs to feed that page and everything to actually feed that React front end, that's what the AI would create. And so it would be pixel the same, and literally none of the code would change in any of that JavaScript React front end, because it's not like Odoo is toxic to React. You know, it's all Odoo is saying, okay, when someone lands on a page, there's a controller that runs. You can do whatever you want in that controller, and then you can have it generate a template. And that template that it generates and like actually makes and actually instances can be in anything. It could be in React. It can be use that OWL framework. It can be in anything. Now, if you use the OWL framework, it's very React-like, and it uses like a lot of the same React components. But you know, there's subtle little differences. But if you do it in React, you basically just talk to the API differently. You know, it's just a little bit different. So I'm not worried about it. I actually think what I will do this evening, I'm going to need to let you go in like 5 minutes just to let you know, because I have to eat. I'm really hungry, and so is Sophie, because she's not working today, you know, obviously, and then but you know, Monday it'll be different. But yeah, it's like, you know, you get that kind of extra day just because of the way the week lands. They don't want to bring people back and then have a weekend. So yeah, what I will do is I'll say to the AI, okay, this is what I want to accomplish, and with, you know, that it can all be run in one application stack, that all functionality remains exactly the same. We won't worry about collapsing out dashboards or anything like that. You know, if the AI recommends this is what we can do, I can tell it to do that. But I'll create that as a feature branch, and I'll have it run it, and I'll have it, you know, create that Git branch. And then I might create a couple of other Git branches with like other kinds of scenarios and just let them run. And then once everything's kind of finished, and it's going to take a couple of hours, you know, hours to just the AI takes hours to work through all of that. Then what I would do is I'd pick a branch. You know, we have this branch that we need to test tomorrow, and so that would be our priority. But I might have another branch that we can test. And with that team, what I'd probably say is, do they have a sandbox that they're building on?
But Greg, it also gets very, it is hard sometimes coordinating the two teams. It is hard, like with them in Firebase. If you're only going to use Firebase for authentication, so let's say we don't need the Firebase for that, right? And using that AI can recreate this React. So why do we even need them right now? I'm just saying, I don't.
Well, I think it's more that if I can get orientated so that I can push changes and then see the apps and make sure everything's working the way it is, then that's good for me.
Yeah, just do it. I think you take over it, Greg. Don't worry about them, because I can ask them to create some other little apps, you know, like do this and do that, and they will do those things. And you can always attach a link where it opens up a React little pop up and it does all this. So don't worry, we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be honest with you. It's like it's just the truth is that, like, other people developing or writing programs for me does not have value to me, because the AI is so fast that even I don't write the code anymore. I can't pay. Well, you're a very kind and ethical person, and yeah, I know, but you know, they're valuable because
He's a really good developer. I'll give him some work. Don't worry, I'll figure out, because he's really very good. Like I'll use him for so many other ways to use, you know, resources.
Oh yeah, and I agree, and I think everyone that's a developer right now and writing code, they have great value if they're using AI in a pipeline and building things. It's literally right now. I'm on the cusp of almost like a nirvana of AI. I was trying to, you know, my Sophie doesn't speak English at all. You know, really well at all. You know, she's from Argentina, and she knows. Ironically, she knows all the words in the rock songs, and because she likes music, and she'll listen to any kind of like rock music or popular music from the United States, and I'll say it to her in Spanish. Like, you understand Words? Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I know I don't understand. I don't understand the words. Like I can't hear them. But Spanish is difficult for me. So I spent like 2 years learning it, and so I was trying to explain to her that for me this is like a dream because when I was young and real little, I was in the Boy Scouts. I didn't know about computers, and my dad had just died, and or actually, he hadn't died yet. He died right after the event. But I went to a Boy Scout jamboree, like 60,000 Boy Scouts, and there was all kinds of activities that you could do.
Boy Scouts too, so I know how it is.
It really helped me a lot. It really did. It gave me freedom, so I wasn't like stuck at home all the time with my mom. I had a lot of fun and did things I probably wasn't supposed to do, but I also learned a lot of stuff, and it made me want to learn more and be a lifelong learner, because you just grab those merit badges, oh, I want to learn this. Well, they had the computer merit badge, and there was an Apple II computer there. And when there was another kid, another Boy Scout there, and he kind of knew how to program just a little bit, to like, you could just say, name equals Greg, and it would type out, Greg on the screen or whatever. And I was fast. I was like, wow, you can write code and make things and have stuff appear. And so I literally, my dad got real sick and died like a few months later. And then, Christmas came along, and my mom bought an Apple II computer. And that was like huge at the time. It was like a lot of money for her because he was a school teacher and didn't have much money. And my grandfather was furious. Like, he was lividly angry that she spent all that money on a computer because he was old. He didn't know, computers were new back then. It was like, why would you do that? You're crazy. He's going to use it for like a week and then he'll never use it. And
And we've come a long way. Trust me.
Yeah.
I told you, I'm 50 now, so we've also come a long way from seeing just screens from a distance to now having all the personal smartphones.
It's crazy. And I love to program and write little programs and create things and build things. And now it's like, I don't need to write that stuff, but I can just create things. I can just build things.
Meditating, when it's less creating, you need to be meditating.
Well, it is a lot more about we're going to be shifting from a technical learn a lot of technical stuff to a much more creative problem solving. Like I said, what do I want to build? What does the market need? And then the technical part is really building that pipeline. I'm trying to use these harness things now, and I just need to, as soon as I can get through this piece a little bit, then it's because I'm kind of like leveraging what I have learned the last few weeks. I'll take a couple of days to hook in a few more things with these harnesses and some like master kind of tasks list. So we could literally, you and I could have meetings where we talk about these things and create and start building things, so we're able to kind of change the paradigm of how fast and reliable these things are, and in those niches of just being able, as Rebus AI, to just be able to fit that fast. And I think you're on this to the most important thing here is, if we have the marketplaces and we have this foundational wrappers around Odoo, then infusing that with AI tools, that's the app. It's there.
And people want it easy these days. Everybody wants a ChatGPT style thing. Do me this, create this, do this. We're getting there. We'll get there. So basically, here's the thing, Greg. I know you have to go for lunch. Okay, so the plan is that don't depend on those guys, right now. Just don't worry about them. You take as it is. Like you said, you get rid of Firebase if you can. Recreate a React kind of front end. Pretty much what is there right now, and you have access to upskill.rebus AI. When you create a user, the login and everything. If you recreate all of that, and create it in a demo database so that the live one is still there. So essentially, you're recreating everything, asking AI to recreate everything and with React and Odoo, and remove Firebase for now. And we use Firebase only when we need to do this, Google Auth with, to the Google account, or to Facebook or whatever, Apple, right? You saw all that, right? So we will use it for now that I know the difference, or rather the what is more stronger. I will get them to just do that if they need to, or I'll get them to do something else. Don't worry. Why don't you take over everything? Because one of the hardest thing for me was with them and Scala and saying, okay, create this API. It took a lot of work. I feel of time and money because I don't know where this is going, right? Because you're also busy, doing affiliate, and there's a lot going on your end, right? You're trying to recreate this whole SaaS. I think that was a yeah, really busy with the SaaS. So anyway, it's fine. It is where it is now. But I think if you take over the entire thing, just tell AI to create the entire thing, so that way you don't have to go back and forth between them and you, and they will just create something either external, like an app, like you said, for the user, like create a user-friendly app, right? With the Firebase and whatever they need to do. It doesn't have you to integrate. Is what I'm saying. Does that make sense? So that it's easy for you, because I don't want you to have to send me the documentation, say, oh, give it to this dev, and then I have to ask that dev, they're there and they're not there. It's pretty much all that. It's a lot of work.
No, it's actually very exciting because I am in a space where I really believe the AI is powerful enough that I can give it what would seem like a monumental, crazy task. And if it fails, I'm only out, 10, 15 minutes that it took to say do it. And when the percentage chances are maybe 80% that it'll get it right the first time, and it'll be almost like magically amazing of just the details it puts in the things and how aesthetically good it can make it look. It is getting really strong. So it's like it's makes sense to keep the AI running, to think bigger, not smaller, and to give it big architectural challenges, because I can just put them in a branch, and if it fails, that's okay.
You know, it already has an MVP created. Now think of this as we created as an MVP for it, right? Hey, this is the login. This is how you log in. We want these screens like this, right? You log in, you do this, do this. So it has an MVP to follow. So tell it to just follow the MVP and tell it, pick up this MVP, do this whole thing in, Odoo, everything one to me, Odoo backend, and just have a nice user-friendly React. And yeah, get rid of Firebase. Just tell it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I
You don't have to coordinate with me and the other developer, and you just get the entire thing. I know it'll take
a little bit.
Of everything, but still, at least it's all in. You don't have to depend on another.
Yeah, if it can sort through it, it would be very tedious in literally a week or 2 weeks of work, and it'd be really tedious, and the risk of burnout's high, the risk of just literally kind of reaching a point where the progress is really tough, because mentally it's tough. Now the AI can just literally plow through. The other day on that SaaS, I couldn't believe it had over 500,000 lines of code, and I found out it had one file that had like 4,000 lines of code in it. And I'm thinking to myself, why aren't you refactoring that? And I told her, I said, refactor that, break that down into less than and then 800 lines in each file, and in like 3 minutes it was done, and it all worked. And I didn't even look at the code. I just was like, man, there's a lot of code in there. I don't know what it does, but
right. So right now, Greg, so please do this. Do me a favor. Just take it over completely. Do what you like. It's just that, yeah. So and anyways, you're doing in a demo database. So we have one for upskill. Once the one upskill works very well with this new design of yours, then the next. I think for you it'll be easy to spin off the next marketplace, because it's all in one.
right. Exactly. Well, and I'll be honest, I really value your capital. That you're spending a lot of money, and I know, and you've been really fair to me. Everything that I've asked for, you've helped me with. So everything's I'm really happy. I value your capital. That doesn't mean I don't want more money. Right? It's different, like two different things. And so if it's possible, we can get these your expenses down and get better productivity and build a team that's more AI centric, and it will leverage these tools. I don't think it has to be someone who was a great programmer, but I think it really almost needs to be someone that knows how to program. If you don't know how, you don't know. So
to work with some of the user onboarding. I can do different things with it. Don't worry.
Yeah. Oh, and that just reminded me, is one of the reasons I want to get like a few hours where I'm not like just trying to work for the solution. The Claude people just released a UX AI specific tool for front end development and UX aesthetics and builds. And it's like literally runs inside of the browser looking at your code and and everything, and it ties in to the UX. Because right now the AI I'm using is all server side, and I'm using a library called Puppeteer, and Puppeteer lets you click on buttons programmatically and navigate programmatically, type stuff programmatically. So they call it Puppeteer because it basically lets you control a UI programmatically, a UX programmatically, and it takes screenshots. And so that's really working for me now. Like I can show you like literally hundreds of screenshots of the SaaS UX as it's now able to analyze it. That's fine. Right. I am excited about it, but I was going to let you know when I hook this other thing in.
Take over this completely because it's easier. One person like you doing it is easier than me coordinating it. I've already done it. It burns my energy, my time. I'd rather focus more on marketing. So you have now the requirements, right? We need multiple marketplaces. That's one. Secondly, you pull it all into Odoo and you like said like a React track. Whatever you think is you already have the MVP. You already have this MVP now. You just have to figure